All right, welcome everyone.
Hi, Rudy.
Hi guys.
We know most people in the
Everyone
room.
got their socks? Good.
Did everybody get a pair of socks? We're good?
Everybody got socks.
You did not get, are the socks gone?
Yeah, they're gone.
Socks are gone.
We gave out all the socks. Good presentation.
That's awesome, that's awesome. We talk, have a good day everyone, see you later. So just to get a little quick feel for who's in the room, again, we know a lot of people here. I'm Dana Castine.
I'm Rudy Gordon.
Jeremy Wood.
We're from Florida, not the state.
It's a long trip.
It's a long trip, Florida gets it all the time. And then Jeremy's
I'm from Newburgh.
There you go. So, who's in the room? What are your titles? Where are you from? If you don't mind us
How many
asking.
tech coaches do we have? How many teachers? How many administrators? Okay,
All right, that covers it.
that's everybody. All right, cool.
Very good. So, you want to advance?
Nah,
We're just going to stand here.
So, Jeremy was originally at Cornwall, correct?
Yep.
Now he's at Newburgh, we're at Florida, and we all had similar issues, probably issues that a lot of you guys had as well. We want our students to use technology in our classrooms. That's basically the goal of many of us in here. We want them, technology, go, go. How much time does it take to have those students log onto a computer, especially the lower grades? And that was always an issue. Right, so we
Especially
were looking-
kindergarten, the real little
Right.
young kids. They don't know their alphabet, they don't have letter recognition, right? That's you hear often, so.
We want them to type their names and a password. You know, how many little kids, well,
In a day.
they probably know what hashtags are now. I was gonna say, how many little kids know what a hashtag is? Noctithorpe.
And the other issue is with passwords and the amount of passwords we have for teachers and kids is how secure are passwords. And this is a few examples of what we see every day with passwords written on the monitor, passwords under the keyboard.
Well, you're not supposed to
sticky
do that.
notes. Well, no, not today. But that it's too difficult with all these websites out there to have passwords, especially when there are 8 characters, symbols, that you have to have different passwords for each website, and that there's not one password, which nobody's supposed to use one password either.
Everyone heard about the issues in Hawaii where it was almost a missile strike. Was that like a year or two ago? They tweeted out some pictures. Hey, what's that? Oh, look, that's their password on a Post-it on their screen. They tweeted it out.
Oops.
And then how the devices are changing throughout. So we used to be in the top, and I'll play the video in a second. But how our world's changing, that everything's becoming on phones, everything's becoming on, you know, not just laptops, not just Chromebooks. It used to be the desk on the left, and now it's a single device.
Dana's desk is far worse than that. I don't know if you've ever
It
seen
is.
it.
Sean, yeah, thanks, Sean. I love you too. So there's a few reasons why over in Florida we decided to move forward with ClassLink. And the rep from ClassLink was supposed to be here, but his biggest mistake was he couldn't, and he left it up to us to give this presentation. So if nothing else, we're hopeful that you at least have fun and get a few laughs in today. How often in districts do you see people like, oh, I have to change my password again and I don't even know what I'm going to make it this time, right? Every day. And then passwords change, and lo and behold, we'll get a phone call 3 hours later. I changed my password, I swear I wrote it down, and it won't work. It happens all the time. So it's really frustrating to have that constant password change. The middle picture of, you're working in a classroom, and you have all these students who are unable to log on because they need help. So you have a classroom full of kids, Mrs. Smith, can you help me, Mrs. Smith? And then the security issue that Jeremy spoke of in the beginning, of people actually being able to create complex passwords, which is super important. So,
And on top of that, also, how many times coming soon in July are you going to add a new program? You have to roster all of your kids and figure out how to get them usernames and passwords and everything else that goes with it. So.
And with EdLaw 2D sort of in a transition period, I don't know if you're all aware of what that is, or so EdLaw 2D is the Parent Bill of Rights in New York, and basically you're not supposed to share information that's personal or identifiable with anyone, especially a vendor. So with all of this out there, it's a huge job and responsibility, and there was really no way for us to find an easy way to manage all of that.
And does anyone work in a high mobility district where you have a lot of kids coming and going? Like joining the district and leaving the district?
Or perhaps even in a building and then moving to a different building because of their geographical location within the district? Jeremy?
All of the above, yes. Yep. So what is ClassLink? So ClassLink is a type of portal, I guess, but it's so much more. It started out with that you could have one spot to access all of your apps, which was awesome. You have one spot, the kids can log in, they use one password to log in, and they get access to all of their different apps. They also had access to all of their files in one spot. So their home directory files, now their Google Drive files, their Office online files, things like that.
Their network, did you say their network files?
Yep.
So think of it as your cell phone, right? You unlock your cell phone or not, and you have all your apps lined up, right? And you can access all your information by just clicking on one of the icons. That's very similar to what ClassLink is. You don't have to worry about constant logins, you don't have to worry about going out to a different browser. All your information is right there, similar to what you would have on your cell phone.
Also a secure way for teachers and administrators to access their files on their network drive, because your IT departments don't want to give you VPN access. We don't want anyone with VPN access, really. So this is, and a lot of times teachers want the ability to access their files from the school network at home so they can work on stuff or grade stuff.
And some of those secure network files involve very private information. Mm-hmm. So saving some of that in a drive dock or something like that is not something that we typically encourage.
Or on a flash drive.
Right.
Can you go back?
Sure.
You're saying this can be used as an alternative to VPN?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain that a little?
So basically, there's a section in ClassLink. You have the portal section, but one of the options, and we'll show you the portal towards the end, there's a section called My Files. And your IT department can set it up so that you have access to your network drive when you log into this. Because it's acting as a portal, a secure portal you're logging in through from whatever computer you're on. So you can be at home, log in, go to your My Files and access your Google Drive files, your network folder, whatever other file system you guys are using.
Yeah, and ClassLink has just put in, I think within the last year or so, the Office suite for free in the portal, so we're...
It's a lighter version.
It's a light version, but you can access your files right from the web, basically. Edit them, save them, you can transfer them through the My Files portal between Google Drive and your home drive.
Create a new document and save it, in any of the Office.
Access? MS Access?
I don't think it
It
does?
has access as a
Is it just Word,
standard.
PowerPoint, and Excel?
It's, I think it's it's Word, PowerPoint, and Excel as
I don't think they
the
have
standard
access.
one. There is a way you can add it, but it's a little bit more.
There are ways to add programs.
The great thing about ClassLink is, anything that you'd like to do, and you contact their support, they will make happen. Anything. If there's an app that you want connection to, that your school district uses, and it's not presently there, they will make that connection happen. Never worked with a company, I mean, if I'm alone in this, say, Castine, you're alone in this, but never worked with a company who is more flexible and on point with their service. They're excellent. Anything, any idea you have, they take it and they run with it. So,
Very true. And I know
Well,
Jeremy
was
did
there
a
a
couple of
question?
different apps.
Yeah, but Lord Susie, so, and New York State is okay with us using ClassLink? Yeah.
so I just went to a clinic a couple weeks ago. Were you at that clinic for
The one up, the takeaways?
in Albany?
Yeah.
It was, you really don't have proof from the state. The state doesn't approve any particular.
Yeah, I know they don't approve it, but I mean, it would it, I shouldn't say do they approve it, but does it fall under the parameters of keeping the students PII safe?
Yep, as long as they sign the district's information, then you're in good shape.
Okay.
Yep, and it's an absolute secure entryway, so,
And they've done the, you know, even before Ed Law 2D, the certification for all of the child protection and all that.
yes. FERPA, SIPA,
All right,
all on point.
thank you.
So there has been instances, I know Jeremy did it a few times, where you have some of the bigger applications like a Photoshop or something like that, where you don't really have the ability to put it on all these computers. You can set up a virtualized app and have it as a link in the portal as well. So you have some flexibility on what you can do with that.
That's not a standard.
It's not.
So in my previous district, we had virtualized apps for Photoshop, things like that.
Like on Citrix?
Actually, yeah, it was just a little Microsoft server that would have the apps loaded. We virtualized the apps, and then ClassLink was the portal that loaded the remote app.
So the kids go into ClassLink, they get a phone screen, basically. It's something like this. And if that app is loaded on that C drive, on the hard drive, then it will work. If they go down the hall, they still see the icon, but it won't work because it's done on the hard drive.
The way we had it, it was all virtual on the server, so they would, if they had access to, say, Photoshop, because it was in their class, they would have it anywhere that they.
Anywhere they have internet access.
Yeah. And
Because you were doing a virtual desktop.
it was a semi-virtual desktop, but only for a specific set of apps. It wasn't a full virtual desktop. But we did, and it wasn't a normal thing that ClassLink has as part of their offering, but they helped me set everything up. Like they told me what to do, basically how to do it, and walked me through getting it working in their system.
They will individualize for your needs, absolutely.
Is it right on every platform?
Yes. So it's in the Play Store for Android devices, and it's in the Apple Store for iOS devices, and then obviously on a computer or laptop, it's on the web.
Okay, so you access it through Chrome?
You can access it through any
Any
Yeah,
internet.
browser or any of the apps that they have.
Okay, so Windows becomes irrelevant.
Kind of.
Technically it can.
Kind of, yeah.
It's a hub for
Yeah.
kids to have quick access. So like, the example I can think of is, well, we have all these kids in our county go home and log in with their school Google account through their Chrome browser, but nobody knows how to remove themselves, so the whole family is doing that. Rather than, and then none of the children know their long email address necessarily, either by heart or whatever. So if you set up a ClassLink experience, the kids can go home to your web, right, and then click ClassLink, and then it single signs them into all of those applications without having
So
to,
you have it set up on your school webpage?
some districts do.
Yeah.
Should we just show?
Yeah.
Why don't we just,
Yeah.
Sure.
So what we did,
We added a quick link on our website.
right, we have our website, and part of our websites, we have the quick links, places we want people to get to real quickly. We renamed it as the FUFSD portal. So we click there, and we're right here. We can log in without a
And
problem.
all the thing and click the next step. Like all of this is customizable
Yeah.
based on the district. So this is Newburgh's portal. So, and you can look and feel is completely different. You can have different services offered. You notice that they had on the bottom, they had sign in with Google. We have a different sign in at the bottom. That's the other thing with sign in. It's not just username and password. They offer quick cards, which are with your it's QR codes. So for the younger grades, kindergarten and first graders, those are assigned from the ClassLink, from the teacher in the ClassLink portal. They can print out a sheet of them, they give them to the kids hold them up to a camera, and that's how they sign in. So they don't have to put in a username and password. It makes it really easy.
You don't need a fancy card.
The other option is signing with faces. Same idea, but it's using the camera for the kid's face. We don't use that as often, only in very specific instances if the kid can't type or certain instances, but it does have that capability but then you can have a direct sign-in with Google, you can have a sign-in with Microsoft Office. There's a whole bunch of different options and they're all customizable.
So why don't you just sign in? And it's all connected to Active Directory.
So if you were on, on desktop, but if you were on Chromebook and you've already signed in Chromebook, now you can sign in Google and password.
Yep.
So they do have, I mean, I'm the IT guy, so I have all kinds of crazy stuff that I'm
Allegedly,
testing
he's
out.
an IT.
Allegedly, I'm an IT guy. Any one of these that you see with a key means that it'll save the password. Some of them are just plain links. I think I got rid of the Dunkin' Donuts one, but it's a thing just that bring you to dunkindonuts.com. IT guys like coffee.
Which we talked about using in Florida for like the robot guide, instead of like linking the robot guide that really only teachers need to have on the school website or sending it through email that nobody sees, they can add that robot guide as a quick link on here for the teachers to just get to.
And all of these desktops can be customized by teacher, by student,
Right.
High school, middle school. It's whatever you want to set up for your district. You can have different groups for different students and have different apps for different levels, different.
You can push certain apps down to just certain students, a class of students, a grade of students, however you have your structure set up. So you're able to.
The My Files at the bottom there next to My Apps, that's the area you click on and you can access your network files or files that you have shared in ClassLink directly.
So yeah, so I have access to my home directory and the shared drive right here, which is nice. And then ClassLink also has some drive space for you to save if you wish to do so.
Is it centrally managed?
Yes.
Or can there be a distributed management?
It can be either. There's it's a portal for management that does it. It's one spot to manage, but you can distribute management based on what you want them to have access to management. So I have some of our instructional technology teachers have access to the application section that they can add apps for their building, but I have everything for all buildings.
So, and through the management console, they give you access to analytics, which is nice because you can see how many people are logging on, how many times applications are logged into, which classes are using it, which teachers, which students, how many times a day they log in, how many times a day they launch the apps. So a lot of times we'll have a teacher say, oh, I need this program. And you bend over backwards and you get it purchased and set up. And then you can look back kind of at the end of the year and looking like, you used it twice. Why are we paying for this?
It's really helpful in budget areas where people say, I have to have it, and they want 15 licenses. We're a small school district, we have about 830 students. So when folks want something, it's not in mass quantity. And
Yeah.
We were in that position a couple times in the last few years, and so you purchase what they need or what they say they need, and you look back and say, well, okay, only 2 people actually logged in and used. So instead of getting the license for 15, we'll only get it for 2 people, or however many will actively use it.
And one thing to note, everything we're showing here is included as part of the ClassLink license. So it's not a separate license for the analytics, a separate license for the single sign-on. We'll go over OneRoster. All of these things are included as your license. To jump off of Dana's point with the analytics, so this is the analytics portal. They are updating their analytics portal to a new portal. I think it's coming this summer. What's included in the new portal that's going to be really awesome for districts is you can put in how much you're paying for a license, and it will show you per student
You can't retire,
usage
Jack, sorry.
Catch On has that service. Catch
Right.
Yep,
On.
so it's going to be part of ClassLink and show you basically how much you are using out of your license. Like, is it worth it to spend $5,000 when you're only using $2,000 worth of the service? The new portal also is going to have the ability to give building principals access to it just to see their building and their usage. Whereas now it's a global thing, but they're coming out, the new portal's going to have more granular access just for individuals. I think even teachers can probably see just their classroom usage, which is a nice feature, and of course included as part of the license. So.
And they have linkage to the EdLaw 2B piece as well, so that you can upload all of those documents and information and have that public knowledge for parents or whomever in the district. So you don't have to worry about, setting that up on a website, because I don't know how your websites are set up in districts. Ours is very basic, and it's what you need to know. Our teachers don't have websites. It's just basic information. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, from the analytics, we can tell that this is heavily used in the elementary school, not so much in the middle high school. So we know where our usage of the product is, where we can actually focus to up usage, what apps they're using, when they're logging on, the days, the hour, most used apps, and then obviously all the different breakdowns.
So are those analytics only provided when they access through ClassLink?
Yes.
So if you could have had more people access PBS Kids just by going direct and not knowing?
Right.
Correct.
Yep, so one of the things is getting your users used to going into the Launchpad portal to use the apps, which when we get into OneRoster and the benefits of that, it kind of forces your teachers and students to want to use it because it eliminates all the sign-up problems. So, but yes, they have to look.
Oh, sorry.
There you go. All right, so these are all the different options for sign-in for ClassLink. We kind of went through all that. One click, that's what ClassLink considers the single sign-on clicks for that. There's no limits to online tools and resources. They will build a resource. If they don't have it, they will build the connector for you. You just have to reach out to them. And
We have 6,000 already set up.
Yeah.
And most of the major vendors.
Most of the apps use one of these types of connectors. I was just setting up Castle Learning this week, and they use the LTI connector.
And even if there's not a connector, you can use the password vault, which basically the first time they click on it, they just enter in their username and password the first time. It signs them in, and the next time they go to click on it, it will just automatically send their credentials for you. So there's even just the basic way. Went through the files.
We kind of covered this. How does it help students?
That's how you know it's a good presentation.
Isn't that amazing?
You're not reading the slides, you're just giving the information.
Yeah, okay. So the analytics portal, which...
Another thing that we found helpful in Florida with ClassLink is the ability to set up a password reset. So you can actually click, I forgot my password, and use that to reset their Active Directory passwords. They had all kinds of different options as far as you can put a mobile number in and it can send you the link to reset your password, an email. We chose to go with the 3 questions for the students, so we went into all the classrooms, had the students set up 3 security questions, like what's the name of your dog, what's your favorite color, those basic security questions on websites. Because I'm the IT guy there for the district, essentially, allegedly. You know, and it used to be the beginning of the year, all the students forgot their passwords, and there'd be a line out my office door. I can't get around to fix anything because I'm too busy sitting there changing
I was
passwords.
the IT guy. We were both the IT guy.
Yeah. You know, she's got all the integration and math and science stuff to do, and, you know, we're kind of just stuck there resetting passwords, so we had to break out of that.
Yep, we wanted out of that business fast.
We wanted the students to stay in the classroom,
Yep.
you know, so they can learn. That's why they're there.
And our time devoted to other things besides resetting passwords. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? But that's what we did for like the first month of school. You just sit there, okay, write your name, what do you want your password to be?
Yeah, so now they can just go right to the page, click forgot password, and go through. As long as they have to set it up ahead of time. That's the only downside to it, but it's worth it. Provisioning, yes.
The new thing.
This is great, by the way. Great.
It just had this come out this year, I think, or 2 years ago.
Yeah, they kind of released it last year and then officially released it in January of this year. They have a product called OneSync.
Well, let's set up with a scenario first.
Okay.
How does that sound?
You want to lead it off?
I can if you want me to.
Do it up.
All right. So, how often do you have students that are mobile, in and out? You know, like you
I
said
asked that
before.
question already.
You did. So, what we were finding was we'd have students that we get notified by the student that they needed access to the network, right? So they come along and they're with a little partner who's sort of following them and, you know, bringing them around the school and having them become familiar with the different locations. And, you know, they end up in our area, which is so much fun. Everyone should want to be there. But we would have time spent on finding out suddenly that we have a new student in our school. By the student. That's so sad. And then when students leave, we'd never know. So we have all these accounts that were not disabled. That's a huge security risk. So we were really looking for something that would help automate all of the systems better, especially with students. Staff you hear about, but students, you never hear about them. So we really were looking for something to automate this process. And I know for a couple years, we kept asking people, and they were like, I don't know, there's nothing out there, so.
We heard ClassLink was coming up with something, and I begged to test it. I was like, please, 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 we need this. And we were actually selected as one of the small schools to test it out, because they wanted to test it in larger and small. And it was their OneSync product, which was able to pull from our SIS, which for us is school tool. They do pull from a variety. So, I mean, we worked with the RIC to have a CSV exported every night, and then we have that CSV imported into OneSync. And anytime there's a change, if a new student's added, it automatically creates their AD and their Google accounts for us. And then when they leave, they're no longer in the CSV, it automatically disables those accounts for us.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that amazing?
Which saved me a tremendous amount of time.
And nagging from me.
I still get that.
You just do that for fun, man.
Absolutely. Every chance I get. It's called payback. Just saying.
So the other great product of ClassLink, I mean, it's all great, but is the roster server product, which is based on I just had my head.
OneRoster.
That's cool. The IMS Global standard. Yes. So.
There you go.
So basically, there's a standard that they're trying to get all of the vendors to follow for account provisioning, which led ClassLink to design roster server based on that standard. And it's similar to how the OneSync product works. It takes the accounts that are in your student information system and it creates their accounts in your vendor systems. We have about 15 different products that we have auto-rostered through Roster Server. Each night it updates all of the different students. And the nice part about Roster Server is those key apps that we showed on the desktop. The student clicks, it just automatically logs them in because it uses the data that's based in roster server. So adding a new vendor is maybe a day, if that, to call ClassLink, say I want to add this vendor, they communicate with the vendor, set everything up, and then overnight everything syncs, and then by the next morning it's everything, everybody's happy, everybody can log in.
Has anyone ever thought about the insanity of all that? When a staff leaves or when a student leaves, all the different products that you have to disable that account in? Think about all the different things that students access that have some type of username and password associated with it. Now imagine being that tech person who has to go through and remember, okay, so this, let's say, staff member, all right, so they were a teacher of X, and so they have access to all of these, whereas if they're a teacher of Y, they have access. That's impossible. So this really helped
Along
in that
with
department.
in August, when you have to sit there and figure out which vendors you have to send which files to, when they need this format, this guy needs that format, this helps a lot.
So I'm going to take you one step further. So does it give Adobe After Effects to only the kids that are registered in the Adobe After Effects class?
I don't, it has to be a rostered app. That one was a special app, so I don't know if it does it yet. They have several hundred apps that work with the roster server. I don't know if the Adobe ones
That's not what I
work.
mean.
Oh.
Let me go back.
Sorry.
I teach App Inventor,
Mhm.
which is a MIT-based coding program. So could we set this up so that every kid registered in my mobile apps class would then automatically get that set up? Because I have to go through every year and I have to download files, generate email accounts and passwords, and set all my rosters
So
up from
it's
scratch and
really
App
gonna-
Inventor and all the different apps that I use in my class.
It's really going to depend on if Adobe utilizes the roster standard.
I don't want to hear about Adobe anymore.
No, I'm saying the vendor,
Yeah, I
I
started
agree.
installing 10 different apps for my class alone.
but for this product.
If those
the
apps
vendors
work with ClassLink,
with OneRoster, yeah.
Right.
with the OneRoster, it can be done. If they don't work with ClassLink, the OneRoster standard yet, you can talk to ClassLink and you can talk to the vendor to see if they will.
My question is, does your student information system have registry, course registration?
Yes.
Yes.
And you can
Yes.
choose.
Which students to
Yes.
assign
So you
to which
can,
apps?
if it's, so say you have a product that is just going to be registered for your class, in roster server, you can choose just to send that class of
Right.
students to the vendor, which will be rostered, and then
And
say you
have
had
my
another,
course and section ID.
yes.
Yes.
Everything.
True rostering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep, true rostering.
And the nice part
after
is,
that, whether one vendor or another is in or not is a difference.
yes, yeah.
Right.
But yes, it is, as long as in the roster server itself, you can get as granular as a single class to send. Or if you're sending a single class and then next week you decide, well, this class needs to go in too, it's just a checkbox of that class and it will send that overnight to roster in the server. It's really not.
And where do you set up that checkbox? Is that something you do in school tool?
You have-
No, that's something
No.
in the roster server.
School tool is just pulling. It's just pulling that roster information
Right.
that's set up. So once it's pulled and imported, let's say, into the roster server dashboard,
So we have, this is the roster server. We're a small district and you can see we only have 819 students, 900 users, that's including our teachers. So we have 3 organizations, that's district, our junior, senior high, and then our elementary. And then 371 courses. That's all the different classes that the teachers take, or no, the different courses, which breaks down to 621 individual classes. So we can say this class gets this app, this class gets these 2 apps, this class gets nothing, we don't worry about them. And you can handle it that way.
Or this building, or the entire district,
Yeah.
or depending on what app it is and what access they need. But yes, if from here is where you would check for the app what information you want to send to the vendor. So you're in control of what information the vendor sees. That's the other part. You don't have to send every student, you can send a limited amount.
So they do have a lot of apps. A lot of these I haven't worked with yet before. BrainPop, I think most of us have worked with, Castle Learning. Yeah, so they have 187 apps working with the roster server now.
187 pages. No, it's apps.
Is it?
125, 127.
Oh, yeah, 127. Yeah. But they also have a bunch in development, and they're willing, like if there's something that you want, you can tell them like, hey, I want this. And they'll work with you and the company to get it made into a rostered app, which is nice. So, and then now we're at the one sync, which I was talking about earlier. I thought that's what you were setting me up
That's
for.
what, well, that's what the beginning was. So.
But yeah, I mean, just, it's a great product to, and it's eased my workload tremendously. I'm definitely very grateful for
I can truly
allowing me to have more time to do more stuff, because there's never enough time in the IT department. There's always stuff to do.
I can truly say this is the one product that I rarely ever have a problem with, and if I do, it's something went down on the website and it's back up by the time I get a chance to call them. So there's definitely never the problem for this.
Don't jinx.
Yeah, not words. No, it's metal. It's a door, you got it.
Any questions?
You have 7.
So does anyone have any questions?
Some of the people in the room might know because they might have been at the place when the hashtag started.
That's true.
Valid. There you go.
Keep it for now.
So it's a great product. I think, at least in my career, I don't really recall finding a vendor that was as helpful as ClassLink is and wouldn't promote or present on their behalf if this isn't something that has made a tremendous difference in our district. It's very helpful, and not just to us, but for the students and teachers alike, so, especially those kindergarten teachers. I think every time they see us, they're like, oh, they're so happy that they have this tool, so.
And even access from home and streamlining some of that.
That's where we started,
Yeah.
because we actually started with ClassLink for that single sign-on, and folks really wanted that information. We had just transitioned to Google, and they weren't ready to take that jump yet, and they were like, oh, I have my files are here, and I'm at home, or I'm at a game, and I have some downtime. I want to be able to do my work. So that was a valid way to be able to make that connection as well. So, any other questions? Comments? Everybody wants to put their socks on. Oh, we have 20 minutes left?
Do we really have 20 minutes left? I thought it was 1:35. What?
150.
Oh.
Oh. Rudy can sing.
I cannot sing. That would scare everybody away. What's
Get a
that?
little karaoke going?
Thank you, guys.